Do you have multiple debts and are looking for a way to pay them off faster? You might have heard that there are two main ways to pay off debt, one being the debt Avalanche and the other one being the debt Snowball. In this video, we'll explore these two main methods of paying off debt and see which one makes more sense to use. I'll also include a bonus method that could work even better for you, so make sure you watch the video all the way through as you don't want to miss it. Hi guys, my name is Marius and welcome to Money Employed. If this is your first time here and would like to join our community of money employers and finance junkies, then make sure to subscribe. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like because it really helps out the channel with the YouTube algorithm. So, paying off debt, what an exciting experience, right? Not. If you are in debt, which I will assume you are because you're watching this video, then know that you're not alone. In fact, just a year ago in 2019, there were 8 million people in the UK struggling with debt. And as of January 2020, the average total debt per adult was almost £32,000. That figure does include mortgages, but it still means that the average person in the UK has some sort of unsecured consumer debt or credit card debt of over £5,000. That's pretty shocking when you consider that 12.8 million households in the UK have less than £1,500 in savings or none at all. But enough with the scary statistics. Let's look at how you can go about paying off your debts and fast. And not just because you don't want to be another statistic, but also because paying off debt will have a huge positive impact on you, both psychologically and physically. So let's get into it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to paying off debt, there are two methods that you can choose from. Although, as we will see later in the video, there's actually a third method that you can use, which can be even more beneficial for you, but more on that later. Anyway, so the two methods that I'm referring to are the debt Snowball and the debt Avalanche. Both work on the assumption that you have extra money every month to contribute towards paying off your debt. However, none of them includes debt that you might have in the form of a mortgage. Mortgage debt is not the kind of debt that these methods are aimed at clearing, so keep that in mind. Okay, so let's start with the debt Snowball method. This strategy of paying off debt was originally made popular by Dave Ramsay, who is considered by many Americans to be a personal finance expert. Although his views on some finance topics are very controversial, and I don't agree with him, but I digress. Anyway, paying off debt using this method requires you to list all your debts from the smallest balance all the way to the largest one and ignore interest rates completely. Then what you have to do is make the minimum payments on all your debts except for the one with the smallest balance. By doing this, you can put all the extra money towards clearing off the account with the smallest balance first. Once that's cleared, then you move on to clearing the next smallest debt and so on until you're effectively debt-free. So for example, let's say that you have the following debts: £5,000 on a credit card at 20% interest rate, £3,000 as a car loan at 4.5% interest, and £1,000 as a personal loan with an interest rate of 8%. Using the debt Snowball method, you would make the minimum payments on the credit card and car loan and use any excess money to clear off the personal loan as it is the smallest balance. After clearing that, you would focus on paying off the car loan and then obviously the only debt that's left, which is the credit card. The advantage of paying off debt this way is that it gives you a great sense of accomplishment early on and it allows you to harness the power of small wins. Basically, by focusing on paying off the smallest debt first, you get a psychological boost from clearing it off, and that will increase your motivation to continue paying off your other debts. Now, the downside is, mathematically, you're almost guaranteed to pay more in interest, and it can take longer to become debt-free. So now let's look at the second method, which is called the debt Avalanche. Similarly to the previous method, you have to list all your debts, but this time you rank them from the one with the highest interest to the one with the lowest interest. Then what you do is you make the minimum payments on all your debts apart from the one with the highest interest rate, because you will use all the extra money to pay this one off first, and then you move on to the next account with the highest interest rate, and so on. Using the previous example, you would first focus on paying off the credit card, then the personal loan, and finally the car loan. This is the most logical way to pay off debt, and the advantage of it is that you will pay less in interest and get to become debt-free quicker. The disadvantage of using this method, however, is that it can take a long time until you clear off your first debt, which can be discouraging for a lot of people and can even cause them to give up before they even pay off their first debt. But let's look at an example and see how the numbers differ when using the two methods that we just spoke about. To do this, I'll be using a free spreadsheet which was created by the amazing guys from Vertex24, to which I'll put a link in the description below. So what I'll do is I'll jump into my laptop and share the screen with you guys so you can see the different outcomes. So here we have the spreadsheet that I was on about, guys. As you can see, it looks very complex and complicated at the same time, but it's actually very easy to use. So let's just jump right into it. The first thing we want to edit is the date, which is 07/04/2020 today. And let's just assume that we have a couple that has the following debts: 2 credit cards, 2 car loans, a student loan, and a personal loan, okay? And the balances associated to every single one of these are the following. These are the interest rates for every single one of their loans, and these are the minimum monthly payments that they have to make. Right here at the bottom, we have the total amount of outstanding debt that they've got, which is 34,000 at the moment. And over here, we have the total amount of minimum monthly payments that they have to make, which is £320. But let's just assume that this couple has £700 every single month available to allocate towards paying off their debts quicker. So let's just put that in there, £700, perfect. And now let's look at the different strategies. Like I mentioned, we will compare the debt Snowball versus the debt Avalanche and see which one makes more sense from a numbers perspective anyway. So we've got the Snowball method selected. As we can see, it has listed all the debts from the lowest balance all the way to the highest one. We can see the total amount of interest that this couple will pay for every single one of their loans until they clear them off, the number of months it will take them to clear off every single one of their debts, and the date and year by which they will manage to clear off all their debts, okay? And over here we can see that it will take them basically 61 months to become debt free. But the numbers that we care mostly about are these, yeah? So the total interest paid and the date by which they become debt free. So let's just make a note of these two. We've got Snowball 801901, and debt free date will be May 2025, yeah? And let me just do this quickly for a bit more clarity. Perfect. So now let's look at how the numbers are going to differ if they are to use the Avalanche method to pay off their debts. So from the list, we choose the Avalanche method, and we can already see that there is quite a difference between the total interest over here and the total interest paid over here. So let's just make a note of these as well. Avalanche 5850.20, and the debt free was January 2025, perfect. And just to get a better understanding of how much this actually is, like the difference between these two amounts. So basically what this tells us is that by using the Snowball method to pay off debt, this couple ends up paying £2,168 more in interest until they become debt free. But let's look at how much longer it will take them as well, and not just how much more it will cost them. So over here in the Avalanche method, it takes them how many? 57 months, yeah? Whereas if they were to use the Snowball method, it would take them 61 months. So basically, not only will it take them 4 months longer to clear off their debts and become debt free by using the Snowball method, but they will also pay an extra £2,168 in interest, which is quite a lot if you think about it. So it's very clear how much more sense the Avalanche method makes in terms of paying off debt quicker and paying less in interest. So if you guys want to learn more about how to use this tool, this spreadsheet, I will leave a link in the description below to a video tutorial that was created by these guys who have made the spreadsheet, Vertex 42. And they go in depth on every single aspect of the spreadsheet. You can check the description for the video tutorial and you will learn more about it there. So I hope that example helped you better understand the differences between the debt Snowball and the debt Avalanche methods. Now, regardless of which method you like more, the research on this subject is clear, and it says that the best way to pay off debt is by clearing off the smaller debts first. This is because it builds momentum and confidence to continue paying off all other outstanding debts. And according to a recent study, perceptions of progress were most impacted by the portion of the balance repaid. That's because, for example, £100 pays off 50% of a £200 balance, but it only clears off 1% of a £10,000 balance. So it's easy to see why focusing on smaller debts actually provides a greater sense of accomplishment, because the progress is somewhat clearer, although mathematically it doesn't make sense. Personally, I'm a numbers guy, so I will always choose the Avalanche method because I want to minimize the amount of interest that I pay and get out of debt quicker. Knowing the estimated time frame and how much I can save in terms of interest over the long run by paying off debt using the Avalanche method, I can put a system in place that pays the debts automatically every single month. This ensures that I stay consistent and have the end goal in mind, because when it comes to any sort of goals, consistency is key. That's why I like to automate my finances. I've got better things to think about than, have I saved money this month? Or have I paid more on my debt? But because I know that not everyone's brain functions like mine, which is proven by research, we also need to take into consideration the emotional impact that debts have. Humans in general are not logical, we are emotional beings. So if you care about paying less in interest but are still emotional about your debt, then this next method might be the best one for you. Now, this method doesn't have an official name, so feel free to call it whatever you want. Actually, let me know in the comments below what you would call this method. So here's how this one works. Just like with the previous two, you will list out all your debts, including the balance and the interest rate, and you will look at them and rank them by how annoying each one is to you. It doesn't matter how large the balance is or how high the interest is. All that matters is how each one of them makes you feel. You might owe money to a friend and feel ashamed to even meet with them because you know you haven't paid them back yet. At the same time, you don't have any personal feelings for the credit card company because why would you? So despite the higher interest that you probably have on your credit card debt, you choose to pay your friend back first because it makes you feel better. Basically, with this method, you focus on paying off those debts that have the highest psychological payoff for you. This one, I believe, can have a more powerful psychological effect on you than the Snowball method will. So which one should you choose? Well, as you can see, it all depends on you and how you feel about the debts that you have. Are you focused on minimizing the amount of interest that you pay? Then go with the Avalanche method. Do you have multiple debts that you can pay off quickly and build momentum? Use the Snowball method. But if you have different emotions for every single debt that you have and you care more about how each one of them makes you feel, then go with the third method. And by the way, don't forget to mention in the comments what you would call this method. Now, at the beginning of the video, I did mention that these methods assume that you have extra money to contribute towards paying off debt. But how do you get to that point? I won't go in depth because that's not the purpose of this video, but I want to leave you with 2 ways you can get to have extra money to pay off your debts. First, make sure to cut back on any unnecessary spending or reduce your living expenses where possible. And 2, find a way to make more money. You can do this either by asking for a raise, taking on a second job, or starting a side hustle like driving for Uber, or in the best case, develop a skill that can help you earn more on the side. Digital marketing and copywriting are just 2 examples of such skills. And as obvious as these 2 ways of making more money are, you might be surprised how many people don't even consider them. Seriously, there are people out there who are buried in debt but continue spending money like everything's fine. For example, this girl who was almost $6,000 in debt but chose to go on a holiday to Cancun for her birthday, you know, as you do. Don't be that person, please. Pay off your debts first, then do whatever you want with your money. Apart from getting back in debt, of course, or putting money in dodgy investments. And that's it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it and got a lot of value out of it. If you have, please make sure to hit that like button because it lets me know that you guys enjoy the content that I put out. Also, if you want to show your support for the channel, subscribing and clicking the notification bell really does the trick with the YouTube algorithm. By the way, if you want a free stock, use the link in the description below to sign up with Trading 212 and they will give you a free stock valued up to £100 when you deposit £1. As always, comment your thoughts and questions below and let me know if there's any particular subject that you would like me to cover. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video.